Wasn't the news and TV that I liked. It was the creativity and getting to share stories. I took a huge leap and decided to start my own business.
Being really, really hard on my voice my whole life, I literally lost like what my actual voice is because it was so performative all the time.
Being a business owner, you don't have to run your business like everybody else. Like, yes, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to promote yourself on other platforms, don't get me wrong. But if you don't want to, if that's not serving you and you've got your ideal person on the platform that you love, why do that?
Community, what are your top recommendations if someone starting right now from where you were before wants to build that community and have that interaction?
Storytelling is everything. Information is everywhere and everybody can sound the exact same because they can just go to ChatGPT and get a script. Really know who it is that you want in your community first. What is it that they want, and how can you use your personal experiences and stories to help them, to encourage them, inspire them, teach them. And then you want to start.
She left TV news after 15 years to help creators and entrepreneurs master video with confidence and real strategy. She's built a platform of hundreds of thousands, all creators and entrepreneurs she actively supports with game-changing insights. And to me, and probably many of you, she's an inspiration when it comes to being vulnerable about burnout and when it's time to take a pause and how to lead with purposeful content. I'm absolutely thrilled to have her on UPBEAT today. Virginia Kerr, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this conversation. Just to catch up the listeners on how we met, and even you, because I don't know if you know how I even discovered you, but I was looking up videos on YouTube about the process of posting a video to YouTube, all the right things to fill out, titles, tags, those kinds of things. I have been on the hunt for that for a while, and even some really big reputable, people I've followed don't have any videos around those kinds of details. And so that's what I was looking up the other day. And then I got hooked on your content, went through a bunch of videos, and I just appreciate how real your content is, without all the fluff and clickbait and stuff like that. So just wanted to say thank you. But to the listeners, yeah, I emailed her and now she's a guest on the show. So thanks for being here.
That just goes to show you the power of YouTube, because that video is almost a year old. That's crazy.
Right.
That would not have happened on short form video.
That's true. Yeah, it doesn't pull up like that, a year or more later.
Right.
And I don't know if you've probably followed some of the same people, but someone I followed for a very long time is Sean Cannell and Think Media. And, I still sometimes will see videos of theirs pop up from 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That is cool how YouTube does that. So, but for people who are just now meeting you, who listen to this podcast, do you mind doing a quick rundown, introduction, overview of who you are, what you do?
Not at all. I was in television news. I was also a TV host. I owned my own TV show, which I think you'll find interesting considering what your show is all about. And I did that, and I had always wanted to tell stories and be on the news. But I realized after doing it a really long time and then starting a family, it wasn't the news and TV that I liked. It was the creativity and getting to share stories. And so I took a huge leap in 2019 and decided to start my own business teaching video. And this is before people our age cared about video. There were kids on TikTok, but there wasn't a lot of people, even on Instagram. I feel like Jasmine Star, if you know who she is, was the only person on Instagram that routinely would upload videos. And so I'm well, I'm just going to do it because this is what I know. This is what I love doing. And so I started giving tips on Instagram, and then I started playing on TikTok. So I would do funny character skits on TikTok. It had nothing to do with video tips, but I just really liked it over there because I felt like nobody my age would find me. And I blew up my first account over there. And then I decided, what if I start a second account and actually give video tips? So that was in 2020. And then by the time Reels hit Instagram in August of 2020, I had mastered, in my opinion, TikTok. And so I just jumped on Reels. And so that's what I became known for, was short form video. And I taught a lot of short form video. And I had a YouTube channel, But in my heart, I always just wanted to be able to go back to what I did on television as far as sharing long form stories. And so after a huge break and massive burnout, I went back to YouTube last year and went full throttle and never looked back. I haven't posted on Instagram in over a year. I haven't posted on TikTok in maybe 2 years. And there's nothing wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with those. I just, as a 51-year-old woman, like, you just decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and when you think about all the different things there are out there, that's how people stumble into burnout, you know, because they feel spread way too thin, and like they have to, I mean, if you're going to post, for example, with this podcast, right, there's going to be some clips that I post, and it will take me an hour or an hour and a half to just sit down and actually post to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the different platforms, plus blogging it, email newsletter, website, podcast streaming platforms.
You need at the very least a VA to help you, unless you are. I did it. I mean, I had a VA, but I'm just saying it's just too much. And plus, I'm very controlling with my content, so there's that. I don't like people just taking it and running with it. I have to have say, and so it's just. Yeah, it's a lot of work. That's the part they don't tell you. Gary Vee was really good at telling us to be on all the platforms, but at that time, he didn't really tell us how much work it was going to be. He just would tell us, and I mean, I love Gary Vee, but he would just tell us to document everything. Well, we don't have somebody there recording us all the time like you do. I appreciate every minute of my journey, but I feel like I'm a very different person now than I was when I started 5 years ago and just wanted to be known and on all the places.
How so? So like right now, are you just a lot more confident and like clear on exactly what it is you're out for, and not, I guess, throwing spaghetti at the wall? Or what big differences are there?
I didn't think I would be relevant if I just up and stopped short form video when that's what I was known for. And I mean, I fought this for 2 years before I finally pulled the plug on Instagram, and I cold turkeyed it, which was a little bit jarring, but yeah, I decided, well, how am I going? And I knew this going in because I'd made that big pivot from television to working out of my basement and starting a business. That was really scary too. So it was like, well, it's kind of the same thing. You're just going to move on and pivot and focus on one thing instead of being in all the places, which is going to allow you to go deeper, but also grow that audience more quickly versus spreading yourself so thin. And I could start repurposing my long form into shorts and Instagram if I wanted to. I guess I don't feel the need to right now. If I get to that point where I'm like, oh, if I want to keep going, I better put some shorts out there, then I will. But I don't really feel the need to.
Yeah, and that's what's cool is, and I'm learning this from you, and it's a message I think you share on your channel and to your audience, but that's totally okay. You know, like, we don't need to feel so spread thin and have to be all these different places. And there's real ways to do content that actually makes sense for people, and they can customize it to their own scenarios.
Same with being a business owner. You don't have to run your business like everybody else. Like, yes, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to promote yourself on other platforms. Don't get me wrong. But if you don't want to, if that's not serving you and you've got your ideal person on the platform that you love, why do that? And you know, I did build an audience on those other platforms. So that obviously does help me. You know, people search my name looking for me. They find me on YouTube. So I'm not saying everybody should just go all in on YouTube and forget the other platforms, but you can. I also have an audio podcast, and I think that helps. And the difference is long form content like a podcast and long form video, your people are going to connect with you so much faster and trust you so much more quickly. They're going to purchase from you faster versus if you're just relying on the short form.
Right. Like the difference between, you know, seeing a 30-second clip of Gary Vee on TikTok and watching a 52-minute long video of him doing a Q&A. You know, you just get a lot closer to the person. Oh my gosh, when I was in that part of the whole thing right at the beginning, I literally stayed up and that's all I did was watch Gary Vee YouTube videos. But I don't think me watching all of his short form videos in a row would have been the same impact
as me watching him interact with people, lecturing, giving these long talks in the cab. Yes, totally different experience.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And I'm curious too, with this podcast focus, what have been some of your struggles with burnout and how have you been able to overcome those? And when it comes to feeling not ready to post, or like if you're struggling with a day and you're just like, oh, today's not it, or I don't want to get in front of the camera today. Like, do you still have moments like that? And if so, like, how do you overcome those?
Absolutely. Yes, I still have moments like that, especially when you come back from a break that's really hard to get back in the groove. For me, I have to remove all the emotion, all the perfectionism, and ask myself, what is our goal with our content? Like, why do we need to post? Is it because we've got an audience that we know we want to help? Is it because we've got a business that is not going to keep going if we don't market ourselves? You know, what is the purpose of the content this week? And when I focus on the purpose, then I just have to go tunnel vision on the purpose. So that tells me, all right, then if you want this goal to be reached, then you have to post this content. And when I come back from a break and I'm feeling all those insecurity and getting all those thoughts in my head, I just tell myself, we've done this before. We felt like this before. And we know if we get back on the bike, we're going to be able to ride again. It's just that we have to do it to get back in the groove again. And so then I take myself, my goal is not to have massive momentum right when I come back. It's not to have a bunch of views. I just tell myself, if you create a video with that person you want to help in mind and you actually get it posted, you've won. You've won. And so I just play that game with myself. I gamify everything when I'm in the weeds of my thoughts.
Wow, that's really impactful. Gamify everything and how to, like when you're in the weeds of your thoughts, that's definitely something powerful that's going to stick with people. And you have gained some followers though since coming back though. Maybe is it more momentum than you thought, like when you first started coming back?
Yes. So going back to how I overcome all the insecurities, when I came back from that 6-month break on YouTube last summer, I told myself, I'm not even going to and I'm not going to suggest that other people do this because this is a lot. This is going to be a lot. But I told myself, you're not even going to get the chance to be a perfectionist because we're going to go all in on a daily challenge. So I told myself I only had to do it for 7 days, and I couldn't edit a lot. I couldn't overthink my script because the point was not to like blow up my channel. The point was to just really get comfortable focusing on YouTube as a platform and building a community, because I had posted on YouTube for 4 years and did not have a community over there because I just didn't prioritize it. I would take breaks all the time. I look back at those videos and I don't even know who that person was. I didn't feel like I was being genuine on those videos. I was trying way too hard. So when I came back, I just didn't allow myself the time to try too hard. And what is crazy is that's when my account blew up. That's when my channel blew up. So I said, I'm going to go and post a video every day for 7 days. Then I'm going to stop and see, okay, can you go for 7 more days? And I did. So I ended up doing a 21-day challenge. And I was I just out in the open with the reason I was doing it. And some of the videos are so cringy because I had a business coach at the time and she was giving me assignments and trying to get me to be vulnerable on video. And that's they're still up there. I would not allow myself to delete them, but I built the community. I really found my groove. But then again, I took a break recently to update my course, and I'm tempted to go back and do another challenge. Not the same challenge, but something. It was fun.
Similar.
It was fun, and I loved having the community get involved, and they were challenging themselves as well. And I really enjoyed that. I missed that.
Community. What are your top recommendations if someone starting right now from where you were before wants to build that community and have that interaction? What would you say they start with? Well,
storytelling is everything, especially these days when information is everywhere and everybody can sound the exact same because they can just go to ChatGPT and get a script. So you have to really know who it is that you want in your community first. Like what is it that they want, And how can you use your personal experiences and stories to help them, to encourage them, inspire them, teach them? And so that's number one, is knowing who you even want in your community so you can make videos for that person. And then you want to start making sure that you don't just give tips and advice, but you're actually sharing personal stories and mistakes that you've made to show them that you understand where they are and that you've been where they are and that you can help them get that transformation that they want. And that can apply to any type of channel. It doesn't have to be someone who is trying to grow their business with YouTube. If you want a community where you are making an impact, you have to go all in on that, as we call the ideal viewer, and make videos for them. And you'll know it's working when you start getting comments and they're going to say, oh my gosh, I literally feel like you just made this video just for me. Or I can't believe you just said that. I was just thinking that the other day. So you know you've hit the target spot when that stuff starts happening. And then when you start getting return viewers and they are commenting on your videos and you start recognizing them, that's when you know that it's working. But you have to be consistent and you have to go all in on your ideal person. And going back to what happens when all those fears and self-doubts get in the way, sometimes you just make that video and you tell yourself you are going to win. This video is going to be successful if it reaches and touches and impacts one person. And that's what I do. I look at my camera and I think of this particular person and I talk to her.
Amazing. Yeah. And you also mentioned, the gamifying and kind of rushing through these things, not giving yourself time to overthink or be a perfectionist or shut down the idea before it ever even goes anywhere. So that's another point. And then I'm curious what your thoughts are with AI and everything, because that is definitely going to help speed things up. But one of my biggest fears is that people are going to lose themselves in using AI. And that's something why I think I'm so drawn to you and your content, is because it's all about real. It's all about impact. It's all about who's that person you want to help and how can you show up the most powerful version of you. Those things I think are going to be messages that in the next 5-10 years are going to be even more and more important. And so I'm curious your thoughts on that and how to balance things with AI.
Well, what I didn't mention, because I don't want people to think that they just need to jump on and just talk to the camera, there's got to be strategy. And even strategy, like before I get to the AI part, if you want to get better at this, then you have to pick a part of that process that you're going to focus on and improve upon and then move on to the next part. So for instance, let's say you're going to just focus on your intros, your first 30 seconds of your video. And so you're just going to focus on improving that first 30 seconds and getting more people to watch a little bit longer. So that's that part. But strategy is also important with AI, because if you just go into AI and ask it a generic question, it's going to give you a generic answer. It might give you the structure of a video, but unless you're AI, unless you've really been feeding it a lot of information, it's not going to be personalized to you. So I have to make sure that, and here's the other thing, your ideal viewer on your channel is going to be very different than my ideal viewer on my channel. So you can't just assume AI is going to give you the information that your viewer would care about. I even called ChatGPT out and said, that is not how my ideal person talks. Like, she's not even going to want to watch that if I was to say that. And he'll go, oh, you're so right, Virginia. You're always right with AI.
Right.
But I don't think you shouldn't use it. I mean, I think it's a great tool. I just think we can't get to the point where we don't think for ourselves. And I have fallen into that trap just recently coming back. And I'm like, I don't need AI. Why do I need AI for every little thing that I do? What I do like about it is I'll create a thumbnail and I'll upload it to AI and ask it, is this clear? Does it speak to my ideal person? How can I make this pop? I start the process and then ask for it to fine tune it. I think that's a good way to do it. And feed it a lot of information so that it knows who they're talking to, although he's very forgetful. I call him Chad. Chad's very forgetful. I'm like, dude, we just talked about this yesterday.
Right. It's in your thread. Just look back at that.
Yes.
That's funny. Well, no, I appreciate that insight. And I'm curious, I don't know if you're game to do like a couple minutes of almost like live coaching, but I'm curious. So if someone's got a podcast like myself, Do you think they should have their thumbnail and title done like before the content even comes out, or is that something that happens afterwards?
Okay, if we weren't talking podcast, or if we were talking a podcast that was a solo episode without a guest, I would say absolutely 100%. But even with a guest, and this goes back to my TV news days, one of the mistakes people make is they'll have a guest on and they're all excited because of, whatever reason, their background, their accomplishments. But if you don't focus on a specific topic or title, that can go all over the place. And if you don't pre-plan and think about the specific topic and the title and the questions that you want to ask them, then you're not going to be listening out for some of the buzz quotes and words that they say that could be super powerful in your thumbnail. So I've had students who they come to this and they're like, oh, I got to make a thumbnail on this podcast. But then the podcast was all over the place and they can't find anything that was super. Like if you go to Diary of a CEO, he's the perfect example of thumbnails with a guest on a podcast. So I just think it's important that you pre-plan whether you have a guest or not. But yes, I tell all of my students, you need to have that title and thumbnail. Even if you don't create the thumbnail prior to recording the video, you need to know what it's going to look like.
Thank you. Yeah, super powerful. That was something that I saw in one of your videos where I was like, I've never thought about that before. Thumbnails
it's such
for me
a game changer.
Was always the last thing I did. Right,
I know. We all started that way. And I still have students who resist it. And then I had one come the other day and she's like, okay, I give up. You're so right. I wish I would have made this thumbnail ahead of time. Because you're scrambling. And then it's so important that your thumbnail and your title and your intro all flow together to keep that viewer interested and wanting to keep watching, because that affects your views. So if you're not thinking of it that way, then you're setting yourself up to fail.
With creating your target avatar or ideal listener, what kinds of questions do you ask yourself to get that clearly defined? Or what kinds of questions maybe would you input into ChatGPT just to help kind of zone in on who that person is if someone doesn't know right now?
Well, a really big clue is who you were before you got this transformation that you're so passionate about that you even want to go on your channel. So I have a doctor in my program, and he said, I literally picture myself, because he's a pain specialist, when he was in chronic pain. And so he talks to himself so that he's talking in a tone and he's speaking his language before he knew all the things he knows. And so it just helps him become more compassionate and empathetic as he talks to the camera. And so if you can think of yourself as who your ideal person was, that's how you're going to get them to say, oh my gosh, I feel like you're speaking to me. And what's incredible is sometimes, and I still struggle with this, and I know you've seen my videos where I was vulnerable, but I'm in one of those, I call it being too tipsy. When I come back from a break, or if I'm just not feeling secure, I get way too heavy on the advice and the tips and the strategies and all the bullet points. But it's that part of you when you reveal the broken part of you or the part of you that didn't have it all together, that's what connects with people. And so if you can just speak to them in that compassionate way and say, I've been where you are. I can remember the first time I made a YouTube video and I looked ridiculous, and so I'm just talking about me. But so it's just so important that you picture that person. And here's the thing, you're going to have your ideal person and you're going to think you know who they are, but you're not. It's an ever evolving process. So I'm still figuring out mine, and it used to frustrate me, and now it's fun. It's fun because I know the deeper I go with that specific person, the more fun it is for me. It's just like I tell my clients who have businesses, think of your favorite client that you love to work with, that's coachable and you've gotten them great results. If you want more people like that, then you need to speak to that person when you're on camera. And other people will not be your people and they will stop watching, trust me. But it's going to be so much more rewarding for you, and you're going to be more effective at helping people when you're speaking to that specific person.
Wow. Yeah, that is incredible. I think, so a word coming to mind as you're sharing that is being performative. That's something that's hit me really strong this year. and I'll share a quick story, but so being really, really hard on my voice my whole life with beatboxing, being in radio, being a podcaster, being a speaker, a musician, a singer, I actually have like voice issues, and I'm going to like voice therapy and having to do like these exercises and trying to build it back. And, I'm finding out too that it's linked to like chronic stress and emotional abuse, all those kinds of things. But I literally lost like what my actual voice is because it was so performative all the time. And I think there's, examples to be made there where it's like,
wait,
yes.
I have to make sure I know what you're talking about. So when you say performative, are you saying like you had like this persona, like this presenter version of you?
Well, yeah, like my voice, I'm trying to learn how to like find my natural voice and not just like the always on voice. Because for so long it's, hey, it's 104.3 with Parker Kane, on air doing blah, blah, blah. And it's, I think I've struggled with that a lot, and I'm having to really, really like actually go to therapy and do exercises and try to figure out my voice. But there's, a crossover to like the mental wellness part of all of this, and how we lose ourselves in the content and in the grind and in what you were just sharing, getting stuck in the tips and the advice and the strategies and all those things, that sometimes we overlook the best part. And it's like the unperformative or imperformative, however you would say that, part of ourselves. And so I just want to say thank you for sharing that, because I think that's huge. We all get too caught up in those things, and we go in these research loops, and a lot of the times it leads to no action.
Yes.
And so when you do take action, it's just that reminder to be yourself as naturally as you can.
Well, so this voice that I'm hearing right now, is this your natural voice? Because you sound really natural to me.
I hope so. I'm trying to be mindful of it. I think a lot of it is just tension, like in my throat. Like I have to remember to like, be loose and just not put so much pressure behind it.
And one exercise that I have found to be really helpful is, and it's how I started doing video on Instagram. Even though I'd been in it for years, it was a totally different ballgame getting on camera and talking about myself. I just reported other people's stories. I didn't talk about me. And so I found when I would just do an everyday, ordinary routine, like a crock pot recipe, or how I put on my fake eyelashes at the time. These are videos I did. It would just allow me to relax a little bit, because I was doing an everyday thing, so I felt more comfortable, and because I had done it so much. And I would just, now this is me not talking to an ideal person, okay? This was just for my benefit, again, gamifying. If I could get on and explain how to put this chicken crock pot recipe together, I did it. And I had a whole challenge when I was in that stage of my journey too. When I first started Instagram, I knew nothing about stories, and they didn't have reels at the time, but IGTV and all that. And so I remember the first week when I said, this is the week I'm going to actually go on camera. Every day I have to talk to the camera on Instagram stories about something. And like every day I made it a little bit more challenging. So the first time I didn't really have to talk. I just have to do like a boomerang. Do people even do those anymore? And then I did another one. I just showed it behind the scenes. And so then the time that I actually had to talk for longer than 30 seconds, I did the crock pot thing. And so I said, okay, all you have to, this is me talking to myself, all you have to do is teach someone how to make crock pot chicken, and you've won the day. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so I don't even know if people were watching my stories, but that's how I got comfortable and figuring out how to talk like myself. I still struggle with that on YouTube. Like I said, watching my old YouTube videos is very painful, because I was over the top performing and, like I said, trying too hard. But yeah, doing it every day and just, teaching the camera how to do something, even if you don't post that, it's going to help you discover your real life you on video, what you look like when you're not overdoing it.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think that is good advice. It reminded me of another video. Like I said, I went down kind of a rabbit hole of your videos, but you were like talking to your garden and stuff too. And like,
that was recently, yes.
Doing voice notes and trying to, just be more in tune with how you actually would talk.
Yeah. Cause I get excited about my flowers, and I'm not going to post that because nobody else would care. And I sound like I actually really know what I'm doing when it comes to that. I just started getting into it in the last year. But so I did. I mean, this was recently. I've been doing this for so long. And I just did a video on this. I'm like, I know I should have already figured this out, but I feel like I'm just now talking like I do in real life on camera. Because to give us a little bit of a break, that was a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people were over the top, the zoom in, the zoom out, the flashy, flying graphics. And that was what YouTubers did. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And so, but that's not what people want anymore. And so that's hard because it's like, I figured out how to be that version of me, but now they want like the, hey, let's hang out together version.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. Gosh, so much value in this conversation and time is flying. Before we kind of wrap up, I want to make sure I open the stage for you to talk about your business, what you're building, how people can, sign up or contact you or connect with you. Anything you'd like to share in that realm?
Well, this is Virginia Kerr, Kerr. And I have a podcast and then I have my YouTube channel under the same names. Also, that's my email, Virginia. This is virginiakerr.com. And yes, I have a YouTube program. It's for business owners over 40. And we meet every week. It's amazing and these are people who they want to make a difference. They don't want to just build their business. They really feel pulled to make an impact and go deeper with their audience. And I think a lot of people are feeling that these days because there is so much content out there. And some of us have been posting content for a while and we're like, there's more to me than just this. And it doesn't mean you have to completely abandon your niche and stop talking about what you normally talk about. But again, it goes back to storytelling. There's a way to be valuable and provide value to people without just giving tips and just showing that one part of you. And for me, I find like I just recorded a video for this week and I'm teaching how to do B-roll and B-roll is the video that goes over the talking person. And it's weird stuff, but think about it. When you watch some of your favorite YouTubers and then they start showing their everyday lives, and I don't mean a vlog. I'm not trying to make you go and become a vlogger, but just when they get little clips with their phone of them doing something with people in their life, or, maybe they're just walking their dog. There's something about that all of a sudden that humanizes them and it sees us and their life because we can relate to that. And so it's little things like that I like to help people with so that you're not just a talking head giving tips.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely would encourage people to check that out. And I love the B-roll idea. I think, as much as people crave real these days and human connection, we also literally don't have very strong attention spans. And I think when you have those clips changing every once in a while, it helps engage that attention and retention too. So,
well, and here's one of the things I struggle with since you brought that up. So right now, for those of you who do not want to record B-roll, like you don't have to have B-roll in your video to be successful. And a lot of people would say that's just too much. We just want you to sit there and talk. I have it in my head that nobody would watch my video until the end if I just sat there and talked. Now, it's probably the former news reporter in me because we always had to get video for our stories. So it's, again, I get to make my business and teach people the way I want to. And in my opinion, I think B-roll is a good thing to know how to do. And plus, you have all those little videos on your phone that you can put together and have memories with. Like if I didn't have all of this content that I put out, I wouldn't have nearly as many videos and pictures of my family. Not that I really post them in my content, but back in the day I did when I did skits and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that just reminded me, it's a good way to be more creative with it too, to have more pieces to play with, right? Because sometimes it can get really stagnant. You do the same thing over and over and over again, and doing B-roll is a way to make it more fun to create, more engaging for the person watching, and also it's going to set you apart from literally anybody else doing what you're doing because they're not going to have the same B-roll and they don't have the same life as you and they're not you. So this has been just an absolutely incredible episode. Before we go, I'm curious, what's been like your number one special takeaway from today's conversation that's kind of standing out to you?
Oh I'm so glad you asked that. I didn't see it coming that you've been working on your voice, because you sound so natural and conversational and friendly and down to earth. I
Thank
would have
you.
never thought you were going to say that. But it also made me feel really good, because I have, like I said, struggled with that for so long. And I didn't realize how you weren't like this. I'm not saying this. Go look at my old videos, Parker. You'll see. It's
No,
real bad.
we all have cringe. I literally, and I might, as a dare to myself, post it in this video. But you know, Facebook will do Facebook memories.
Yeah.
I got one from 11 years ago of me beatboxing on my couch, and the beatboxing was really good, but like I was really cringe in what I was saying.
Oh, you have to post it.
Yeah, I'll share it. It's so crazy. But no, we all experience cringe. And I think, yeah, that's one of my biggest takeaways from this episode, is just to be as real as you can. Be just the most authentic version of yourself in real content. And that's always going to perform better than the fluff or the fake stuff.
Absolutely. Well, one of the blessings of getting older, Parker, because I'm a lot older than you, is that your brain just doesn't have time to care as much. Like, you just don't. I think that's right. I think I turned 50 and I'm like, and scene. We're done with Instagram, everybody, because I just don't have it in me anymore.
I feel that. No, that's a good point. I also wanted to ask real quick, with everything you're building, what's the meaning behind it? What's the meaning behind your program, and like what fuels you to keep doing this?
Oh, there's so much. I mean, selfishly, I think it helps me to be a better person, to focus on other people. And I'm realizing, and it's like this lesson that I keep learning over and over again, like, just because you're quietly dealing with it does not mean you are the only one. Most likely there's more people out there struggling with what you're struggling with than not. And so if I didn't have that community that we meet every Wednesday, I just wouldn't be the same person. They challenge me, they don't realize they're doing this, but they challenge me to be better. And that's the whole point of life. Like, why are we here if we're not going to make an impact and make a difference? And I think for so many people, I'm including myself in this, after 2020, we just isolated and we got used to being like that. And it's not healthy. I mean, it feels good because there's not as much, you don't have to deal with people's stuff as much, but we were not created to be alone. We were wired for relationships. And so I think just getting that message out and letting everyone know that everybody has a purpose and everybody's story is powerful. It's just a matter of identifying those stories and learning how to share them.
Right, equipping them for success. Love it. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show. I end every episode with a beatbox and the guest's name in the beat. So we'll do that real quick. Thank you, Virginia Kerr.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you for being on the show.